Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In this video, inshallah, we'll discuss the second chapter, the Aqidah, the faith, doctrine. The faith has several pillars. We'll discuss each one in a video. The first one in the pillar of the Aqidah, Tawheed, La ilaha illallah. So we will discuss here, inshallah, the Tawheed. But before that, let's talk about the Kuffar of Mecca, where the Prophet ﷺ came. They knew Allah, and they worship Allah initially on the basic of the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son Ismail. But over the years, the 1,000 years, they became astray and they went wrong. They had two problems. Before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came, the Kuffar Mecca had two problems. The first problem, they made a partner to Allah, the idols, al-asnam. And the second problem, they did not believe in al-Ba'ath, the day of judgment. And either one will make you kafir, outside the religion of Allah. For that reason, the Prophet ﷺ came. And when the Prophet came, they have an additional third problem. They did not believe in the Prophet or in the Quran or what he said. What's the evidence in the Quran, ayatullah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to tell us that Kuffar Mecca knew Allah? I have the iPad ready in front of me, and the ayat will start to read. Surah Al-Mu'minun, ayah number 83 to 89. Allah ordered his Prophet to ask the Kuffar of Mecca, قل يا Muhammad, قل لمن الأرض ومن فيها. Ask them, the planet Earth, يعني who own it and who created. سيقولون لله. Their answer, they will say it is for Allah. So they knew Allah. Next ayah. قل يا Muhammad, tell them, who's the God of the samawat al-sab'a, the seven sky, and Rabb al-Arsh al-Azim. سيقولون الله. They will say, their answer, it is for Allah. The third question, Allah ordered him to ask him three questions. The third question, قل يا محمد من بيده ملكوت كل شيء وهو يجير ولا يجار عليه. Who owned the whole thing, everything? سيقولون لله. They will say Allah. So they knew Allah, but they went astray from Ibrahim and Ismail religion, and they became kafirin, and we mentioned the reason. Now, in Surah Al-Zumar, ayah number 3, they mention why they made a partner to Allah, the idols, al-asnam, and sharik, and why they worship them. In Zumar number 3, part of the ayah, لِيَقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ زُلْفًا. So, when we worship them as a partner for Allah, they make us closer and closer to Allah. Definitely, this is totally wrong. And then, as I mentioned, that was the first problem. They have sharik. The second problem, they didn't believe in the day of judgment. In Surah Al-Nahl 38, وَأَقْسَمُوا بِاللَّهِ جَهْدَ أَيْمَانِهِمْ لَا يَبْعَثُ اللَّهُ مَن يَمُوتُ. They swear in the name of Allah. They know Allah, but they went astray. They swear in the name of Allah that it shall be no day of judgment. But Allah in the same answer saying, no, there will be a day of judgment. And the kafirin in 39, liars, إنهم كانوا كاذبين. So let's start. What is some ayahs of Tawheed, of La ilaha illallah in the Quran? Not يعني inclusive, but this is some. Very important ayah, I think it's very important. Surah Al-Anbiya, ayah number 25. This is the foundation of the Tawheed. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِكَ مِنْ رَسُولٍ إِلَّا نُوحِي إِلَيْهِ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنَا فَاعْبُدُونِ. Allah tell His Prophet that we never send a messenger before you except with Tawheed, except with La ilaha illallah. All the prophets, all the religion, Christianity, Jewish, whatever, it is Tawheed, La ilaha illallah. Now, whoever went astray and made for Allah's son or whatever, that's something Allah will, they'll be accountable for it. Allah tell us, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu alaykum anfusakum, just to take care of yourself and do your duty. But all the religion and all the prophets came with Tawheed, wa la ilaha illallah. Not only that, Allah in the same Surah Al-Anbiya, this was Anbiya 25, Anbiya 108, the end of the Surah, Allah ordered the Prophet to say it, قُلْ إِنَّمَا يُوحَى إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا إِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. So that's the Tawheed. And you notice if you read Surah Al-A'raf or Surah Hud or Surah Al-Shu'ara, each prophet separately in these three surah say the word of Tawheed, La ilaha illallah. And if we want to choose, I represented Tawheed, the Prophet ﷺ, he said the greatest ayah in Quran, Ayat al-Kursi, Al-Baqarah 255. But remember, the greatest surah, Surah Al-Fatiha. That's the Prophet ﷺ saying. Ayat al-Kursi, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayy al-qayyum. Tawheed, Allah by himself with no partner, La ilaha illallah. Now, that reminded me a point that we mentioned the Quran that was revealed in Mecca. The first 13 years focused mainly on the Aqidah, on the faith. While when they immigrated to Medina and the last 10 years after in Medina, the Quran Madani was revealed related to the orders of Allah, do and not to do. But in the Quran of Medina, once in a while, some of the ayahs in the Quran al-Madani remind them with the faith. And this was the best example. Ayat al-Kursi in Surah Al-Baqarah, which he revealed in Medina, first Surah Medina. But still, he reminds them with the faith. Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayy al-qayyum. Let's talk about some ayah of shirk. Surah Al-Ma'idah 72, لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَالْمَسِيحُ ابْنُ مَرْيَمَ. Whoever say the Masih is the son of God is kafir. This is the word of Allah. This is the word of Allah. The Prophet never told them. But Allah said it. Allah said it. Subhanallah. And the Masih himself in the same ayah, Ya Bani Israel, a'budu Allah Rabbi wa Rabbakum. The Masih alayhi salam told Bani Israel, Allah Rabbi wa Rabbakum. He's the only one ilah. So the problem seems started even with the time of the Masih alayhi salam. And as we mentioned, this is the kafir who made for Allah's son. Quraysh and other aqwam, Nuh, Qawm Nuh, Qawm Aad, Qawm Thamud, Qawm Salih, Qawm Shu'aib, all those have idols, have asnam. And as mentioned in Zumar, Surah Al-Zumar, ayah number 3, the reason they have the idols, لِيَقَرِّبُونَ إِلَى اللَّهِ صُلْفًا, to bring us closer to Allah. La ilaha illallah. And the third thing in the shirk, they made the angel the daughters, Banatullah. In Surah Al-Saffat, ayah 149, فَاسْتَفْتِهِمْ, ask those kafirin, رَبِّكَ الْبَنَاتُ وَلَهُمْ الْبَنُونَ, that they made the banat, the daughters, the angel are daughters, the banat of Allah, daughter of Allah, and you only have the banin, the boys, subhanallah. Now, let's talk about something in this pillar, the pillar of Tawheed. Allah mentioned in the Quran, Makki and Madani. His ayah in the universe, in the planet and the universe, Ayah means one of three things, depend on the context of the ayah or the surah. Ayah means ayah Qur'aniyya, ayah number 1, number 2, number 3. Ayah means evidence of Allah to show His power and that He is the creator of the whole earth and He is able to recreate it again in the Day of Judgment. That's the ayah. The third meaning of the ayah, when Allah give us a story, and at the end He say, "Inna fi dhalika la'ayah." In this story, there is maw'idha. There is a lesson to learn. So the ayah could mean many things, at least 3 now. So we have to see what it is. Here the ayah means the evidence of the power of Allah and the evidence of His oneness, no other God. And I found a cluster in the Quran of the ayat. The whole Quran, Mecca and Madani, has the evidence of the power of Allah and He is one. But I found interesting cluster together, Surah An-Naml from 59 to 64. 5 ayah. 5 ayah Qur'aniyya, ayah 59, ayah 60, and so on. 5 ayah Qur'aniyya has 14 evidence of the power and that Allah is one. 14 evidence. But the more interesting that each ayah of those 5 ayahs are stamped with one statement. أَإِلَهٌ مَعَ اللَّهِ. Allah asking the kafirin, if there is God with God, if there is sharik for God, if there is partner for God, 5 times, أَإِلَهٌ مَعَ اللَّهِ, أَإِلَهٌ مَعَ اللَّهِ, after mentioning 14 evidence. Some of the evidence, I'm not going to mention the 14, but you could read it from 59 to 64, Surah An-Naml. Some of the evidence that Allah will get the rain, and the land, you'll see the flower, you'll see the fruits, which give you happiness. That's one evidence of His power and that He is one. Other evidence that you see the sea salt and the river is non-salt, drinkable, and they never mix. Other ayah, if you need something or you are in a big problem, who you ask? You ask Allah. Even the kafirin, when they had a major problem, they ask Allah. And who sent the good wind that will give you all this, bringing the clouds and the rain, is Allah. One of the ayah, who the creator of all this, and who will repeat it again in the Day of Judgment. This is some of the evidence of that Allah is powerful and Allah is one. I ask you to review it, please. The last thing, I'll give an example of the mu'mineen and the kafirin. What's their feeling? The mu'mineen in Surah Al-Mu'minun from 57 to 62, 4 ayah. Each time the mu'min think about Allah. Each time, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ هُمْ مِنْ خَشْيَةِ رَبِّهِمْ مُشْفِقُونَ. And the second ayah, they talk about رَبِّهِمْ. The third ayah, رَبِّهِمْ. The fourth ayah, وَالَّذِينَ يَأْتُونَ مَا آتَوْا وَقُلُوبُهُمْ وَجِلَةٌ أَنَّهُمْ إِلَى رَبِّهِمْ رَاجِعُونَ. When you give sadaqah or you help people, they are afraid. Their heart is afraid. Afraid from what? That may Allah don't accept it. Or it's not enough. But in the 4 ayah, the mu'min every time think about Allah, Rabbihim, 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 Rabbihim. 4 ayahs. The character of the mu'min think about Allah all the time. To the opposite, the kafir. In Surah Hud, Sayyidina Shu'aib tell his people, kafir. وَاتَّخَذْتُمُوهُ وَرَاءَكُمْ ظِهْرِيًّا. You made Allah behind your back. نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَنَسْيَهُمْ. You forget that Allah, there is Allah. You forget there is accountability at the Day of Judgment. So you go in your own way, and this is the kafir. Other example for kafara, in Surah Al-Qasas 39, about the Pharaoh and his people. واستكبر هو جنوده في الأرض بغير الحق وظنوا أنهم إلينا لا يرجعون. يعني they became باغي, ظالم, كافر. They thought they will never be back to Allah. The mu'min all the time think he is back to Allah, and this is deter him for doing the bad thing. While the kafir, he doesn't think he's going back to Allah as a reality, so he do as he does. So in this video we talked about the first pillar of the faith, at-Tawheed. Inshallah, يعني we could go to the second video, talk about the bath, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.